Hello. Hello, everyone.
No.
Yeah, I recognize every name here, which we love. Or maybe not every single one, but most of them I recognize. It's a lot of the pictures too, of course, I've seen, but hi, everyone. Oh, yes. Please drop a hello in the chat. Actually, it's a fun one. If English isn't your first language, I want you to put hello or whatever in your first language in the chat. I'm just curious to see. The only one I think I can reasonably say is hola. So Jose, there's me making you proud there. Oh, perfect. Oh, we got a few holas. Oh, hola, buenos dias a todos. Just hi, good day. What does that todos mean again? Oh, how embarrassing. Muy bien, ¿y tú, Jose? That's like the extent of my Spanish. Very sad. My whole family speaks Spanish. Like my mom is fluent in Spanish, my brothers, and I am terrible. I took it in school for a little bit and forgot. Caro. Am I saying, how do you say that? You can
Caro.
Caro. Cool, in Yoruba.
Yes, that's it. Hi.
Hi. Oh, perfect. Oh, see, this is what I love. This is so fun. Okay. Please continue dropping it. Okay, another fun one. If your first language uses like a different alphabet, right? So like Hindi, for example, you should add what hello looks like in Hindi. Oh, there we go. Oh, is that Arabic? Yeah. Oh, I love Arabic. Like the look of it, of course. I don't know the language obviously super well. I should learn. I really should learn. It's very sad that I only know English. I really need to be better. Hindi. Okay, so spelling it out. How do you say it? Okay. I'm not even gonna try. Kaise ho? I know I said that terribly.
Yes, kaise ho means ma'am, how are you?
Kaise ho. Oh, okay. Okay. So I wasn't too off. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yes, ma'am, I'm doing good.
Good. Yay. Okay. I'm glad you're all here because I know, again, I don't know if it's anyone's first time here. If it is your first session, like if you haven't been to any other session this week, if I don't look familiar to you, let me know in the chat. I am very curious because I'm still going to go over some things that we've gone over in the other sessions. Oh, there's Ukrainian. How do you say that, Yevgen?
Привіт.
Привit?
Yes, привіт.
Oh gosh, I know I absolutely said that terribly, but perfect. Okay. Well, as we keep coming in, I know it's an hour later than the rest of the week. So now in the Philippines, it was in the evening. It was the later session that it was like 5 a.m. So, okay. So what time is it in the Philippines? I know a couple of you are in the Philippines. I feel like that was like the farthest time, like the biggest time difference. It's midnight. Oh, thank you for being here. That's past my bedtime, that's for sure. Okay, here. I'll stop talking as much. But I feel like this is our last session, so I just want to talk to all of you. But of course, the reason why I really want to embrace all of these different hellos and everything else is that this is our international services Q&A specifically. I know that I think pretty much everyone in the other sessions was international, but considering this is like especially for that, I think this is fun. Oh, Punjabi, Hida. I know I said that poorly. Oh, Telugu. Andariki Namaskaram. I know I said again. You're welcome to correct me and say it correct. Like say it correctly. You can take mute off. I need to learn these things. Maybe in person too. You can help me. So I feel like it's easier to like when you hear it in person, right? But okay, correct. I'm sure I wasn't super correct, but thank you for saying that. Okay. So I will go ahead and share my screen. All right, you know this slide, you know and love this slide. You've seen it all week, but welcome. Again, if it's anyone's first time, please let me know in the chat if this is your first session that you've been to at all. If I look completely unfamiliar to you, I would love to hear. But yeah, so you are here for the International Services Q&A session. This is actually a bit newer. We haven't done this exact Q&A session, like we didn't do it in the fall. So I think this is a really great idea, and I think we'll start doing it in the future. And especially since we have a decent turnout here, I'm excited about it. So without further ado, go into our handy dandy meeting etiquette. So once again, make sure you're using that chat feature as much as you can. There is an option to turn it off. There's a reason why I haven't utilized that option. I think that chat is really important. And it helps me it helps things be a little bit less chaotic too, right? Like, and of course, if we give you the opportunity to speak, to turn off your mic, you can absolutely ask questions vocally, but just make sure we prompt you first so it isn't like a ton of noise and chaos, right? And just make sure if you aren't actively speaking that you are muted. And if you're not sure if you're muted, just look at this little microphone button in the bottom left corner. Oops. And if it's looking like this, that means you're not muted. If it has like a red slash in it, that means you're muted. Okay. We won't go through all this. This is not really necessary. All right, so we'll do our land acknowledgement. Again, if this is your first time, I definitely recommend paying attention, even if it isn't your first session. I still recommend, checking this out. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the link here just to put in the chat. All right, so our land acknowledgement, I will read it first, then I'll explain why we do it. So we'd like to acknowledge that Saskatchewan Polytechnic is situated on Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 territories and the ancestral lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota peoples, and the traditional homeland of the Métis. So why do we do land acknowledgements? What is a land acknowledgement? What it is a formal statement that recognizes the long, enduring, and complicated history between Indigenous peoples of this land that is now called Canada. And, the history of this land that they've been on for thousands of years. There's a lot of history, right? But most importantly, we need to all understand that those of us who are not Indigenous, there has been a lot of complex reasons as to what brought us to reside and play and work on this land, right? And land acknowledgements don't exist in the past tense in a historical context per se, because the colonialism structure is something that is ongoing, and it's really up to us to educate ourselves on what this land is before our residence on it, right? So we always can educate ourselves and learn more. So that's why I really recommend visiting that site. There's tons of other options for learning about this stuff too. On campus, for example, we have Indigenous centers on every single campus with really amazing Indigenous advisors who can always answer questions or just, anything like that. So I definitely recommend, reading and learning more. And the first thing we can kind of do to help that relationship is to acknowledge that this land does not belong to us, right? Okay, so then we'll go ahead and move on. So we just have one speaker today, but it's quality over quantity. He's wonderful. We have Yevgen here from International. He works at the Moose Jaw campus, but I believe he is physically in Saskatoon right now. But if you are going to be on the Moose Jaw campus, you will definitely see him around. You will also see Faith Salva around. She's wonderful. She's not in this group right now, but they're International. Every campus is great, but Yevgen's he's just a very pleasant person to be around, and I love talking to him. So I'm really happy he's here. So Yevgen, I will go ahead and take us to our next slide that has our most probably frequently asked questions. Yevgen will go ahead and read those and answer them. And then of course, as usual, you can definitely ask questions as you think of them in the chat, or whenever he ends up opening the floor for further questions, you are welcome to answer or ask them, on your mic, you can speak. Okay. So I will give the floor to Yevgen.
Yes, hello everyone. Yeah, my name is Yevgen Pirogov, and I'm International Student Advisor at Moose Jaw campus. So we have 2 International Students Advisors in Moose Jaw, 2 in Saskatoon, 2 in Regina, and 1 International Student Advisor in Prince Albert. So we have 4 campus cities, so each campus city has International Student Advisor. So you can, each campus city has an International Education Office. So if you don't know where it's located, you can always ask enrollment services or campus security, and then they'll be able to guide you how you can find our office. So we highly encourage you to stop by at our office once you arrive to Canada, so then we can meet you, and if you have any questions, we will be able to assist you. So today also collected 8 the most common questions that we are usually receiving from international students before they arrive to Canada. So I'm going to start with the first question. It's what immigration documents do I need to enter Canada? So let me just share my screen. I just wanted to show you IRCC website. So IRCC website has information about the documents that you need to have before you arrive to Canada. Let me just share my screen with everyone. Yes, so information about entering Canada, it's located on Government of Canada website. So if you see when you arrive to Canada, you will meet a border services officer. So he will make sure that you meet some basic requirements to enter Canada. So make sure that you have a valid travel document, such as a passport. Make sure that your passport hasn't expired, that it's still valid. Also, as an international student, when you apply for a study permit, you should receive your port of entry letter of introduction, the document that authorizes you to study in Canada. So it means that you are approved to study in Canada. So make sure that you bring that document with you to Canada. Then make sure that you have a copy of valid letter of acceptance that you received from Saskatchewan Polytechnic. So make sure that you also have a valid electronic travel authorization. If you are, for example, if you're from visa required country, make sure that you have your valid visa, so that you have that sticker in your passport. If you are from not visa required country, make sure that you have your ETA. And also make sure that you have enough money for your stay. So the amount for the money, for example, if you're coming by yourself, so that amount is usually $10,000. So if you're coming to Canada with your spouse, so then it would be $10,000 for yourself, and then $4,000 for your partner, and $3,000 for every other family member. For example, if you're coming with your children to Canada. Also make sure that if you had your medical exams in your home country, make sure that your exam is valid for 12 months from the day that you get it in, and it must be valid the day when you enter Canada. You also need to convince immigration officer that you have ties such as job, home, financial assets, or family in your home country. So because you're coming to Canada as a temporary resident, you need to convince immigration documents that you will be able to go back to your home country after completing your studies. So make sure that you convince an immigration officer that you have ties to your home country, and you will leave Canada at the end of your stay. Also, when you enter Canada, make sure that you present your letter of introduction and your passport, and make sure that you obtain your study permit at the port of entry, because there are some cases when international students, they forgot to obtain a study permit at the port of entry. So please remember that without study permit, you won't be able to start your classes in Canada. So make sure that you reach out to immigration, to border officer at the port of entry, and obtain your study permit at the port of entry. So those are the main documents that you need to enter Canada. Also, you can, so in regards to the payment, you can also bring your tuition payment receipts. So if you did any payments, if you paid your tuition deposits, if you also did your payment for the first year of studies, so make sure that you also bring all tuition payment receipts. So also, for example, if you are using GAC, you can also bring your GAC statements and bank statements. So if you would like to show that you have enough money for your stay, you can also use your bank statements from your home country for the last 4 months. And if somebody is supporting you financially, for example, if your parents or if your friends are supporting you financially, you can also use their bank statement, but in that case you will also need to bring an explanation letter. So then those people, they will need to write explanation letter to explain that there will be supporting you financially during your stay in Canada. So those would be the main documents that you will need to arrive to Canada. Yeah, I believe we can go to the next question. And now, yeah, and also I wanted to mention, so if you haven't received your, if you don't have your acceptance letter, so make sure that you download it from our website. And also before arriving in Canada, we also highly recommend students to get medical insurance to cover your stay before you will be able to apply for Saskatchewan Health Card. So the application process for Saskatchewan Health Card may take up to 4 to 6 weeks. So you will need to apply for Saskatchewan Health Card. You first need to come to Canada, and you also need to have your study permit, and you also need to have your enrollment verification. So enrollment verification is a proof that you are enrolled as a full-time student, but you can only request your enrollment verification once you start your program. So if you're coming to Canada for the January intake, so you will only be able to obtain your enrollment verification at the beginning of January. So therefore, we highly recommend international students to purchase medical insurance to cover at least their first several months in Canada before you'll be able to obtain your medical insurance. And we also recommend students to travel to Canada no sooner than 4 weeks before the program starts. But I believe that since today is December 9th, and if your program starts at the beginning of January, so now it's a good time to travel to Canada. So the next question that we have is how do I register for my classes? So that's also one of the most common questions that we are getting. So when you receive your acceptance letter, so your acceptance letter should indicate your program start date. So for most of you, it's January 3rd. So additionally to closer to January, your program head will be in contact with you to provide you with more specific information about the first week of classes. So your program head will send you an email. So make sure that you check your Saskatchewan Polytechnic emails, and your program head will send you information about program orientation. Because once you arrive to Canada, we highly recommend you to attend 2 types of orientation. So first one, it would be your program orientation. So at that orientation, you'll be able to meet your program head, your classmates, and to ask questions about your specific program. And so your program head will send you information about your program orientation. And and also our office will also have international student orientation, and our orientation dates and information can be found on our website. So Kelsey, if you can post, you can send students a link how they can find information about our orientation dates and information. So enrollment services typically register students at their classes 2 to 4 weeks before the classes begin. So once you are formally registered in classes, you'll be able to see your classes by logging into Brightspace. So once you are registered, so make sure that you check Brightspace, and then you'll be able to see if you're registered for the classes. So if you have more questions about class registration, you can contact enrollment services at your campus. So each campus has enrollment services or registration office. So they typically register students for classes. So if you have any questions about your class registration, so make sure that you check with them. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, just because I'm trying to keep up with the questions that are kind of pertaining to the order, just to kind of avoid confusion. So I just want to quickly ask a question that was asked in the chat, if that's okay with you. So this question says, I'll be entering Canada through Toronto Pearson International Airport before connecting to Regina. At which port of entry do I pick up my study permit?
Yeah, you will need to pick up your study permit at the port of entry. So if you are coming to Toronto, so Toronto will be your port of entry. So that would be the place where you will meet a border officer. So make sure that you pick up your study permit at the place where you will enter Canada. Because when you arrive to Regina, so you won't be able to meet border officer in Regina. So make sure that you obtain your study permit when you enter Canada. Yeah, and yeah, and also I wanted to mention about class schedule, because maybe many of you wondering when I will get my class schedule. So usually class schedule will be provided by your program head. First day of classes, so when you will receive an email from your program head, so they will indicate when your program starts. So you will get your programs, you will get your class schedule from your program head. And if you have any questions about your schedule, about your program, we also highly recommend you to contact your program head. So they will be able to answer your questions about the program. Yeah, and as I mentioned, so we also gonna host international student orientation at every campus city. So make sure that you pay attention to your emails. So we will send information about international student orientation, and there is also a registration form. So please make sure that you also fill out that registration form, because we want to track our attendance. And so make sure that you fill out that registration form to confirm your attendance, and we will be looking forward to meet you at our international student orientation. So at our international student orientation, we're going to talk about how you can apply for Saskatchewan Health Card, how you can apply for social insurance number. We're also going to provide you some information about different type of resources available on campus. We're also thinking to bring there people from the library, from enrollment services, from learning services, and your program heads. So we highly encourage you to attend our international student orientation. So I believe we can go to our third topic. It's how can I get my enrollment verification. So I previously mentioned that you will need your enrollment verification to apply for Saskatchewan Health Card. So you will also to apply to obtain your enrollment verification, you will firstly need to arrive in Canada and start your program. So once you start your program, you'll be able to request your enrollment verification. To request your enrollment verification, you will need to go to my SAS Polytech account. So let me just share my screen. I can also show you the procedure how you can request your enrollment verification. Yeah, so when you go to my SAS Polytech account, then on the menu you will select student. You will click on and under enrollment services you will see enrollment verification section. Then you will need to select your term, for example, winter 2022. Then you will click continue, and for delivery method you will need to select the electronic letter. We also highly recommend you, once you arrive to Canada, so make sure that you update your address and contact information with Saskatchewan Polytechnic. So that's very important, especially, for example, when you will finish your program and you would like to obtain your official transcripts and your completion letter. So all those documents, they will be mailed to your home address that it's indicated on SAS Polytech account. So make sure once you arrive to Canada, so update your contact information, your phone number, once you obtain Canadian phone number, and once you will find a place to stay, so make sure that you update your address. So in case if we will need to contact you, so it would be much easier for us to get a hold of you if you update your information. And then you will just submit your request. So once you will just choose electronic letter as a delivery method, and then approximately in 1 hour, you will receive your enrollment verification. So you might also need your enrollment verification when you go to the bank. So I know that some of the banks, they are asking for enrollment verification, and also when you will apply for Saskatchewan Health Card. Yes, so I can, just can show you that slide. So when you go to my SAS Polytech account, so you will see under enrollment services, to make sure that you click on enrollment verification. So and then you will be able to access your enrollment verification. But for now, when you travel to Canada, you don't need your enrollment verification. So if you're traveling to Canada, your study permit, your letter of introduction, your passport with a valid visa or ETA, as well as your acceptance letter and proof of financial support, for example, your tuition payment receipts and proof that you have enough money to during your stay in Canada, would be sufficient documents for you to travel to Canada. So you don't need enrollment verification, because we already went through RCC website. So as you can see, enrollment verification is, or for example, a travel support letter, because sometimes we also receive requests if Saskatchewan Polytechnic provides travel support letters for the student. As you can see, that's not the requirement from IRCC, therefore we don't provide travel support letters. And so your acceptance letter and your tuition payment receipts would be sufficient for you to travel to Canada. at this time. I believe that we can go to the next topic. So it's called how can I find housing in my campus city? So before you arrive to Canada, we highly recommend you to start searching for housing in your campus city. For example, if you're traveling to Regina, so we wanted to let you know that we have partnership with University of Regina, and if you're looking to stay at their student residence, you can visit their website for more information. So it's www.uregina.ca. That's housing. I can also you can also visit our website to find information about housing. So Kelsey, if you can just share that link, how students can find housing. So you can also see that in some campus cities, they have on-campus housing, some don't. There are also some links there, how you can find housing off campus. So you can use a Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji or some other websites to search for housing. So try to find, so in case if you cannot find housing close enough to your campus, you can also explore a transit system, because if you go, for example, if you're traveling to Muzhjo, you can, we highly recommend you to visit website, official website of City of Muzhjo, because it has transit map. It also has, so each campus city has public transportation, so there are buses. So make sure that you explore a transit system for every campus city. So if you cannot find housing close to the campus, so then you can take a bus and get to the school by the bus. So that's in regards to the housing. So when you will attend our international student orientation, we're also going to talk more about housing. So what are your rights as a tenant? So what are your rights? What are your responsibilities as a tenant? So make sure that you also learn more about that. And also make sure when you search for housing, make sure that you obtain your lease agreement or rental agreement, because you also need that that proof, that residence proof, when you will apply for Saskatchewan Health Card. So they will also ask you if you have a lease agreement as a proof that you are a resident of Saskatchewan. The same thing when you will apply for social insurance number. So they will also ask you for the proof of residence. So you will need that document. So make sure that you obtain your lease agreement. For example, if you're staying with your friends, so just try to get the document as a proof that you are actually the resident there. Yes, it's in regards to the housing. The next thing that we also gonna talk about is transportation to Canada, transportation in Canada. How do I get to, for example, how do I get to Muzhjo from Regina, and also, for example, if you have students from Prince Albert, so you might, because Muzhjo and so when you will arrive to Canada, so most probably you will enter Canada in Toronto or in Montreal or Vancouver or Calgary to one of our international airports. And when you will take your transit flight in Canada, so most probably you will come to Regina and Saskatoon. So so there are no flights to Muzhjo or Prince Albert. So for example, if you are going to be studying in Prince Albert, make sure that you choose Saskatoon, because Saskatoon would be the closest city to Prince Albert. But to travel to Prince Albert, it's going to take about 1.5 hours for you to get from Saskatoon to Prince Albert. So you will need to find transportation to get to Prince Albert. Unfortunately, our office is that we don't offer airport pickup, so you will need to find how you can get to your campus city. And the same thing is for Muzhjo. So make sure that you choose Regina, because Regina is the closest city to Muzhjo. So it's about 80 kilometers between Regina and Muzhjo. So make sure that you find transportation to get to Muzhjo. So in regards to the transportation, there are different ways how you can get to your campus city. So you can check out the website of Rider Express Transportation, because I know that they provide transportation between Regina and Moose Jaw and Saskatoon and Prince Albert. There is another company, it's called Uncle Max Shuttle, that also provides transportation between Regina and Moose Jaw. And there are also some other private contractors that they also offer transportation. So you can use any of those modes of transportation to get to your campus city. Yeah, so that's in regards to transportation. And also, as I mentioned before, so our every campus city has public transportation. So I would say Saskatoon and Regina has more buses, they have more routes, but those cities are bigger. But at the same time, Moose Jaw and Prince Albert also have public transportation. So we highly encourage students to utilize public transportation, especially during winter, because it's today I would say it's not that cold, but a couple days ago Kelsey confirmed it was
pretty brutal.
almost -30 in Saskatchewan. So make sure that you bring warm clothing. So before you come to Canada, that you have toque, that you have mittens, you have scarf. So make sure that you have warm clothing before you arrive to Canada. We also can recommend you to bring your laptop, bring your charger, cell phone charger. Make sure that you have that. You can also make sure that you also have that you finalize your stay, or if you're staying at the hotel, or if you're staying with friends, so make sure that you finalize everything before you come to Canada. Our next question would be, yes.
Mind, I just, because I feel like the work one is going to like turn a lot of questions specific. Just the way it's kind of been. So
Okay, yes.
I think maybe we'll touch on a couple of questions that have been asked first, and then maybe we can go forward. Is that okay? Sorry to totally interrupt. So, I also want to add, I'm pretty sure in every session, someone has said, make sure you have a jacket when you get off the plane. I know that seems like overkill, but trust me, you need a jacket. And I think this was mentioned in the very first session, but if you, for some reason, don't have a winter coat, usually those ports of entry in Canada, you can buy one at the airport. So like, I know, and I'll, the good ones aren't super cheap. I'll be completely like reasonable with you here, but it's worth it. Okay, so Yevgen, I'm just gonna ask a couple of questions that are here in the chat. And then if you have any others that kind of refer or touch on any of these Q&As that have been addressed already, you guys can put them in the chat too. So let's start with okay. Okay, so someone just said, I have yet to receive my visa from the IRCC. So I'm thinking of deferring to March, but I would like to know if there are still spots left. If there will still be spots left.
You will need to if you would like to defer your intake, you will need to contact our international recruitment team. So I can provide you with their email. So make sure that you contact the international recruitment team so they can assist you with the deferral procedure.
Perfect. You put that in the chat. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So just try to connect with them as soon as it's possible. Yeah. So if you would like to keep your tuition deposit, so make sure that you send them email and indicate that you still hasn't received your visa and you would like to defer your intake.
And then I'll probably move past the question about Brightspace. We already talked to Reshma. We can talk about that at the end of the session. Just that's not really specific, right, to international. Okay, so another one regarding port of entry. So my port of entry will be Calgary. I plan to stay there for a couple of days and buy some winter gear and then move to Regina. Will it be a problem according to the immigration officer if I don't go to Regina directly?
That should be fine. So if you're traveling to Canada, so if you stay in Calgary for several days, that should be fine. So there will be no issues. So you'll be able to stay in Calgary for several days. Yeah, so you can. So the main thing that RTC officers are concerned if you enter Canada too early. So that's they don't encourage students to enter Canada more than like 4 weeks in advance. But since you're traveling to Canada, so you can you'll be able, to stay at another city or town. Like, for example, if you have any friends or relatives, you're welcome to visit them. So just make sure that you are back to the studies. So when we start our classes, that you attend. We highly recommend you to attend our program orientation, international student orientation. So make sure, because I also wanted to mention, because of COVID, in the previous few years, we offered many classes online, but now all of the classes are offered in person. So make sure that you attend your program, because it's as an international student, it's critically important to be enrolled in in-person programs to be eligible for post-graduation work permit. So make sure that you are back to your campus city before starting your classes.
See, I'm learning so much too. This is great because, as I've said before, and again, we've talked about it. I was an international student as well, but this was like a decade ago, and some of the rules were a little bit different. And I know it also does vary on the school or the country you're coming from. So this is a learning experience for me too. That's why I really like these Q&A sessions. I learn as well. Okay, so we got another one here. I've gotten my study visa, but my IELTS score expired a couple of weeks ago. So is it all right to travel with that expired IELTS at the port of entry?
Do you mean IELTS? Like, do you mean like that language test?
Sorry, my colleague's
Ah,
phone.
yes, I've just got my study. Ah, okay, yes, I can see that question.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yes, but my but since your application for study permit has been approved, so since you received your visa, so make sure that you receive your letter of introduction, as I mentioned before, because so your visa authorized your entrance to Canada. So you cannot enter Canada without your visa, but your letter of introduction authorizes you to study in Canada. So since you have those two documents, you'll be able to enter Canada. So that should be fine. Yeah, if your IELTS expired, but since you meet all other requirements as we discussed from RC website, that should be fine for you to travel to Canada.
And there's one question in here that I can probably answer, just because and if you again then great, but I know this is kind of specific to Regina. So is there transportation from the U of R housing to SAS Polytech? So there are, again, it'd be public transit. There's buses, right? So there'd be a bus that would easily go from there to there. It's pretty close, luckily. So even if you were in a pickle and you maybe needed to get an Uber, it would be a really cheap Uber, to be totally honest. But there are buses. And if you want more information about bus passes, then you would want to visit the SPSA, the Student Association, when you get here. And we can, and again, you can just email me as well, studentengagement@saspolytech.ca, and I can give you more information about that. But that is a good question. But luckily, again, that housing is really close to the school. I wouldn't say quite walking distance, but like when it's nice out, and if you get a bike or something, it doesn't take too long. Okay, and then this one is probably better suited than for Yevgen, because he knows Moose Jaw better than I do. So how reliable is the public transportation in Moose Jaw, and can we pay with cash?
Yes, you'll be able to pay with cash. And also, I can show you City of Moose Jaw website, because I'm pretty sure that we have many international students that are traveling to Moose Jaw. So when you go, so you can find the City of Moose Jaw website. So on City of Moose Jaw website, you can find information about transit. So about transit in Moose Jaw. So there is actually a new method of payment. So now we also offer, you can also purchase single tickets or 10 bus tickets through your mobile device. So now it's a new measure. So you can either use cash, or you can also download their app and use the QR code to pay for your transit. So here it has instructions how you can use that application that they recently developed. Yes, and it also has information. It also has transit map of Moose Jaw. So here you can see that there are 4 routes in Moose Jaw. So there are 4 buses. So you can, when you're looking for searching for housing, so you can also use Google. You can search on Google what would be the closest bus going through that area, and then you can plan how you can get to the campus. And also it also has a schedule. So I believe every city in Saskatchewan, every campus city, so they have a transit page on their website, and you can search for the schedule, for the bus schedule, and also for the transit map. So that would be very helpful for you if you want to get familiar with this with the city before you start your classes. So I can just send that link in.
I already got you there.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Josie, I'll be sending your links. Don't you worry. Awesome. Okay. And then, sorry, let me just, I think I lost my place here. Yeah. And then just, again, John Javi, just like I said before, in terms of the bus passes, just talk to the SPSA again, when you're here, you can't miss them. But once again, you can email student engagement as well. But yeah, there's like basically just discounted bus pass options for students. But if you don't have a bus pass, you can still pay on the bus. Like it's nothing too crazy. You just want to obviously get familiar with the route, right? And then another question, which I think was addressed, but maybe we can clarify a little bit. So is it okay to stay in Regina and commute to Moose Jaw for daily classes since it's hard to find rentals in Moose Jaw?
Yeah, we have some students who are commuting, so I won't recommend it for the winter time because of the weather conditions. But if it's like your only option, like for example, if we're also gonna have some students who will be graduating in December, so maybe there'll be more housing available at the end of December. So many students in Moose Jaw, for example, they have final exams this week and next week. So after December 19, many of the students who are graduating, so they might be moving to other places in Canada, or so then, yeah, so just keep searching for housing in Moose Jaw, but for example, as a temporary solution. We have some students, and you can also cooperate with other students. So there is such thing as a carpool, so you can cooperate with other students and you can drive together to Moose Jaw.
Yeah, make friends. It's
Yeah,
good.
make friends.
I used to work in Moose Jaw when I lived in I live in Regina and I'm based in Regina now, but when I worked at Moose Jaw regularly, I would carpool with a friend of mine who was in a course and then I was working. So carpooling's the best. There's yet another excuse to socialize and make some friends because maybe you can find some carpool buddies. And yeah, okay, we're just gonna move past this. Okay, first of all, I'm being called out and I want to clarify something, Parth. So I have been pretty adamant about the fact that, and we'll we'll talk more about this when we get to the aspect of work. But okay, in a lot of the sessions, I have been making my eye contact with the webcam saying, yes, I know you want to find work, but studying is why you're here. You are on a study permit, not a work permit. Before you worry about getting work, make sure that you're doing well in school. So Parth, I don't want you to think that I don't support working. I think if you can do that, wonderful. But it's just more like I want you to understand that, the basis of you being here is for school. And it would be a shame for you to work so hard in school, but then, if you're also working and you're not able to do as well in school and you can't stay here because of your academic performance, that would be a real tragedy. So that's all it is. I support working if you can do the work-life balance. I also understand the way the world works. Things are expensive. So I just want to clear the air that I do support working. I just want you to remember what the priorities are when you get here. But that is good to know. And I know Yevgen will talk about this, but that the 40-hour work week, or that rule of 20 hours during school is not a thing right now. But again, I know he'll go further into it. And then, sorry, I think there was conversation there. Okay, so now we have another one about port of entry. So we have a question, can I get my social insurance number at the airport in Toronto, or is it advisable to do it in Moose Jaw?
You can, yeah, so there are three ways how you can obtain your SIN number. So if you'll be able to obtain it in at the port of entry, yes, so you can obtain it at the port of entry. You can also do it in any of Service Canada offices. So we have Service Canada office at every campus city. So you can just Google the physical address of Service Canada, and you can also do it online. So you can also do it online. So further in our presentation, I will show you how you can apply for social insurance number. So I will just show you the ways how you can apply for SIN number. So important thing is that you need your social insurance number. For example, if you're thinking to work in Canada, and also you will require it to file your income tax. So it's very important for you. Make sure that you apply for social insurance number. So later on, I will show you how you can apply for social insurance number in my presentation.
Yeah, that probably falls. I know you'll be getting there eventually. Okay, so then I think we will probably pause answering the questions now because they're starting to get more geared toward work, which I know you're going to touch on soon here.
Mhm.
But I did want to quickly add about the international student orientation, just because I have a question about it. So what's set right now, the only thing I think set in stone is the Moose Jaw International Orientation. But again, if you just keep visiting that international events page that I sent the link to it, I can send it again. And you'll get email information about this too. Just make sure you're checking your SAS Polytech email. That's where all of that will come. So you will hear information about the international orientation, I promise. But again, the only one that's set in stone and posted right now is Moose Jaw, because Yevgen's just so proactive, you know. But yeah, there will definitely be something for you. Do not worry. And okay, yeah, I think we'll go ahead and stop answering the questions there. I'll let Yevgen move on, and then we'll touch on these in a bit. So once again, as he goes, if you want to send more in the chat, go for it, and then we will answer them after. Okay? Sorry, Yevgen, you got the
Yeah,
floor.
Kelsey, sorry, I have a question about the time. Do we have time only until 11 or 11:30?
11:30.
11. Okay, yeah. So
You're good.
Okay, yeah. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, yeah. So firstly, yeah, as I promised, so now I will show you how you can apply for your social insurance number. So let me just share my screen with you. Yeah. Firstly, I also wanted to let you know that you can only apply for social insurance number once you arrive to Canada. So you are not able to apply for social insurance number from outside of Canada, because to apply for social insurance number, you will need 3 documents. So first document would be your passport as your identity. So your foreign passport, then it would be your study permit that authorize your studying in Canada. And third document would be your proof of residency. So as I mentioned before, it's why it's important to have a lease or rental agreement, so you can use it as a proof of residency that you are Saskatchewan resident. So you will need those 3 documents to apply for social insurance number. So there is no fee to apply for social insurance number. So you don't need to pay to apply for social insurance number. So you can to apply for social insurance number, you can also find that information on Government of Canada website. So right here, so when you need to apply for social insurance number, firstly you will need in regards to applying for social insurance number, yes, as I mentioned, there is no fee to apply for social insurance number. Firstly, you will need to go to the website. So if you're thinking to apply for social insurance number online, so you'll, for example, if you're applying for yourself, so just check off applying for social insurance number for yourself. Then you select your status in Canada. So once you arrive to Canada, you'll be temporary resident. As an international student, they are temporary residents. So you just check off that, and then you will see that there are 3 ways how you can apply for social insurance number. So you can do it online, you can do it by mail, or you can do it in person. As I mentioned before, to do it in person, you can just visit one of the Service Canada offices, and they'll be able to assist you. And I also wanted to mention, so once you, I know I'm not very sure about other campuses. For example, if you arrive into Moose Jaw, in Moose Jaw, we're gonna host our international student orientation at the beginning of January, and we also invited people from Service Canada, and they're gonna do social insurance number clinic. So we're actually bringing Service Canada employees to our orientation, and you'll be able to apply for social insurance number during our orientation. So we have our orientation on January 3rd and January 5th. So if you, once you come to our orientation, you'll also be able to apply for social insurance number. So it will take about 10 minutes for you to apply for social insurance number. Or if you want, you can also do it online. So for example, if you check off online option, so then you will get a reminder about the documents that you will need to apply. So as I mentioned, so first one, it's your primary identity document. So that would be your study permit issued by RCC. And also make sure that once you obtain your study permit at the port of entry, please review conditions under your study permit. So make sure that you pay attention to the words may accept employment or may work in Canada. So if you have those remarks on your study permit, you'll be able to apply for social insurance number. So if you don't see that information, I would recommend you to reach out to our office, and then we can take a look at your study permit and then help you with the further actions. And then second document, as we mentioned, you can use your foreign passport as a secondary document for your identification. And for the proof of address, as we mentioned before, so you can use your lease agreement, or it can also be your utility bill. But in regards to utility bills, it can be the bill, it can be bill for internet or for power, but you cannot use your cell phone bill. So cell phone bill won't be applicable in that case. And then you will just click apply online. So once you click apply online, then you will also first you will need to read the terms and conditions of use. Then you just check off the box, and then and then you will be asked to fill out the application form. So you just enter your first name, your last name, your contact information, your phone number, your status in Canada, and then on the next page, once you click next, so then you will be asked to upload your electronic digital versions of your documents. As I mentioned, it would be your passport, your study permit, and your lease agreement. And then you'll be able to apply for social insurance number. So that's in regards to the social insurance number. So now we are also going to talk about working in Canada. So let me just show you another link. I know that many of you you have questions how you can work in Canada as an international student. So I would recommend you to visit the Government of Canada website. So here on the website, you can find about how you can work off campus as an international student. So firstly, you can make sure that you review eligibility requirements before starting working in Canada. So first thing, it's very important that is you must be a full-time student in Canada. So make sure that to be considered as a full-time with Saskatchewan Polytechnic, you need to have to be registered at least at 60% of your course load. So make sure that you are maintain your full-time status. So because without maintaining full-time status, you are not legally able to work in Canada, because it can negatively impact on your study permit extension, or if you're thinking to apply for post-graduation work permit. So if you are not registered full-time, it can negatively impact on your application. So also make sure that and another important thing is that you need to start studying. I also seen that question in the chat box. So some students, they're asking, can I, for example, if I come to Canada before my studies, so can I start working in Canada? As you can see from this information from Government of Canada, so you can only start working once you started studying. So if your program starts on, for example, on January 3rd, you'll be able to start working only January 3rd. So make sure that you do not start working before you start your classes. Because for example, if you start working, so then it would be considered as non-compliance with your study permit condition. So if RCC will find out that you are working illegally, so then there might be different actions. For example, you can you can be deported from Canada. You can get a ban like for 5 years, for example, or you can also be refused on post-graduation work permit. So please take it seriously. And another important thing is that you need to have your social insurance number. So make sure that you apply for social insurance number once you arrive to Canada, because you cannot work, you cannot find employment in Canada without social insurance number. So if you meet all those requirements, and if you're registered in the program, all programs that we offer for international students, they lead to a degree, diploma, or certificate, and they are also at least 6 months long. So it makes them eligible to work off campus. Yes, so also in regards to the hours, how many hours can you work off campus? So the basic answer for that is you can work up to 20 hours per week. But there is also a temporary measure in place. So from November 15, 2022 until December 31st, 2023, international students can work more than 20 hours per week off campus while class, but they also need to meet some conditions. So firstly, they need to be a valid study permit holder. And as a second option, you must be approved for a study permit but haven't arrived in Canada yet. So once you arrive to Canada, so you will meet that condition, and also make sure that you meet some other additional requirements. So IRCC needs to receive your application for the study permit on or before October 7th. So if you applied for the study permit before that date, so if you submitted your initial study permit application before October 7th, so then yes, then you are eligible to work full-time for that period from November 15 until end of the year 2023. Yes, and also make sure that you pay attention to your study permit, as I mentioned before, to make sure that you have please read the remarks on your study permit that you have off-campus work authorization. And if you don't have that work authorization, please come to our office or book an appointment. I will show you later how you can book an appointment with one of the advisors. And yeah, and then you can work more than 20 hours. And another thing is during scheduled breaks in the school year, for example, during winter holidays, for example, we're going to have winter holidays very soon in Saskatchewan. So during, also if you start your program now, and if you start your program in the winter and then you will resume your program in the fall, so then you'll be able to work full-time during summer. So summer holidays would be considered as your scheduled break. So it would be considered as a scheduled break in your studies, and you'll be able to work full-time. So to be, and please also make sure that you're a full-time student before and after the break. As you can see here, you must be a full-time student both before and after the break to work full-time. And also it says like you cannot work during a break that comes before you start your very first semester. Yeah, so you cannot start working before you start your program. So make sure that you register full-time in winter and also for the fall semester to be able to work full-time. And also sometimes students ask like how many hours count as a full-time work, because it's on the IRCC website, it says that you can work full-time. So there is no set limit of hours per week that counts as a full-time work. However, your employer must follow all provincial laws on overtime pay and time between shifts. So make sure that you, yeah, so your employer will have information regarding that. And also, Kelsey already said that about working in Canada. So I also wanted to add something. So when you come to Canada, when you are being approved for study permit, IRCC considers you as a student. So make sure you're coming as a student to Canada, and you make sure that you remain bona fide student. Bona fide student, it means that your true intention is to study. So when you come to Canada, your true intention is to study. For example, if you make sure that you register full-time in your classes, make sure that you obtain support. For example, if you're struggling with the classes, you can reach out to your program head. We also have learning services in campus. I believe that Kelsey also has it in her presentation. So, and if you're struggling with classes, so please make sure that you reach out, get help. And we also wanted to mention, for example, in case if you concentrate too much on your work, then you will start failing your classes. So in case, for example, if you fail one of your classes, it can also negatively impact on your study permit extension and also for your post-graduation work permit eligibility. So if you're thinking to stay in Canada after your studies, if you're thinking to be eligible for post-graduation work permit, so make sure that you stay in compliance with your study permit condition. Because, for example, if you fail one of the classes, so for some of our programs, we offer 3 intakes. So, but in some programs, there is only 1 intake. And for example, if you fail your class in the first semester, so then that subject might be also only offered next year. So there are also some prerequisite subjects, and then it also might negatively impact on your status in Canada, and then you'll be a part-time student in Canada, and then and then at the end it might make you ineligible for post-graduation work permit. So therefore, make sure that you keep up with your studies, and if you need help, just to reach out to your program head, learning services, or international education office, and we will be able to support you. So we are here to support you with your studies in Canada. Yeah, it's in regards to the work authorization. Yeah, I can send that link in the chat for everyone. So just make sure that you.
Yeah, I only sent the kind of the main page, but not that exact one. So thank you.
Yeah. So you can read information about off-campus eligibility.
And then just while we're on the subject of social insurance numbers, I'm just going to address a couple of questions about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Mhm.
So here, let me just make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, someone said, I got my social insurance number from Brampton, Ontario. Is that valid in Saskatchewan?
Yeah, social insurance number valid in all provinces. Yeah, so you don't need to reapply for social insurance number. So yeah, it should be valid. Yeah.
I felt like I could answer that, but I just, when it comes to international, I just don't want to play it too, you know, can never be too sure.
Yeah.
Okay, got another question. Can I use the Airbnb address to obtain a social insurance number?
We would we would recommend you to firstly secure your permanent address in Canada before you apply for social insurance number. So Airbnb address, it's like a temporary residence. Yeah, so we would recommend you to wait and confirm your permanent stay.
You shouldn't be rushing into this, right?
Yeah, I won't recommend Airbnb or other short-term recommendations.
Yeah, I don't not support working. Just remember, it's just more like I just want you to do what's best for you and your status here.
Yeah, because as I mentioned before, you still cannot start working before you start your classes. So if you come to Canada in December, like you can, you'll have time to, just make sure that you come in advance. Do not plan to come to Canada like 1 or 2 days before your program starts. So then you will be rushed to search for housing, to apply for social insurance numbers. So just try to plan accordingly.
Okay, and this is an interesting question, sort of on the same, like this is sort of in the same breath here, but someone said, I am renting a house, but the lease is not in my name. Is it still possible to get a social insurance number without the house leased to me?
So in that case, I would say, like, when you apply for social insurance number, they have quite strict requirements for that. And what about, so make sure that you have utility bill, like one of the utility bills under your name, so that might be helpful. So yeah, in that case, or maybe just try to speak with the landlord to see if you can also be included in that lease agreement. Because
that just saves you in other ways too.
Yeah, I would say, like, for example, when you apply for Saskatchewan Health Card, I would say, like, their rules are not that strict, but when you apply for social insurance number, so they might reject your application. So if you don't provide sufficient proof of your residency in Saskatchewan.
And then I have one, or I think 2 more, but someone just said, if I apply for my social insurance number online, do I get the number instantly?
Yeah, you'll be able to receive electronic file as well when you apply for social insurance number. That
I don't know that it'd be instantly though, right? Like it might.
No, not instantly. Yeah, it will also take some time to process your application.
Oh, sorry, Janavi, I totally missed your question because you asked one earlier and I totally missed it. Sorry about that. Okay, in the meantime, Preeti, do you mind elaborating on what you mean by ETA is needed or compulsory? Because maybe just maybe send a more specific question based on that while I answer this, or we answer this other question. I just want to make sure we answer it correctly. I shouldn't keep saying we. Yevgen will answer it. I'm just here moderating.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so here is another question. So is a study permit and co-op work permit, are they the same or different? In my course, artificial intelligence, there's a 3-week work permit. A 3-week work permit is included. Still, the officer didn't give me the co-op work permit. They only gave me a study permit. I gave her my new offer letter. What can I do for that?
Yeah, usually study permit and co-op work permit, they are two different things. So for example, if you have, so when you receive your acceptance letter, it usually has 4 pages. So if your program has co-op work permit component, it's if co-op is mandatory part of your studies, so you will have 4th page of your, it will have like 4th page that would be your co-op work permit letter. Actually, for your case, I would recommend you to book an appointment with one of our advisors, and then we can help you individually, because we want to check your program to see if your program has co-op work permit, and we can also review your acceptance letter. So yeah, because I don't want to share some confidential information here. So I would, at the end of the session, I will show you how you can book an appointment with one of the advisors. So I would recommend you to book an appointment with one of us, and then we can look at your question.
Let me send that link just while I have a second.
Yeah, you can.
I forget you're under the make an appointment sign now under the library, which is so nice. So, okay, so I'm going to send the link how you can book with international advisor. Right, I'm just sending that in the chat. So I'm the worst typer or typist ever. Okay. And then, okay, so I think we got some clarification on that question. So I am confused between ETA or study visa. Is estimated time of arrival. So, okay, I'll let you answer that.
Yes, for ETA, yeah. So, so when you enter it, like as I mentioned, your temporary resident visa or your ETA are your the documents that you authorize your entrance to Canada. So there is a list of visa required countries, and there are some countries that don't require visa to enter to Canada. So I can, for you, I can actually send you the link of visa required countries. Just a second.
And then Shirisha, I think that question was the same answer that he gave about you know, not having their name on, like their name on the lease. Because okay, so this question, and again you can elaborate, but in Canada, I'm going to be staying at my spouse's friend's place. Can I give that address for a social insurance number?
So if you're staying at your spouse friend place, can I?
So like their name isn't on the lease, essentially.
Yes, in that case, if you are not included, because Service Canada, so they will ask for your proof of residence. So in that case, if you're staying there temporarily, I would recommend you to search for permanent residence before you apply for social insurance number. Because if your name is not on the lease agreement, so then they might refuse your application. And also, in regards to the previous question, I just sent in the link in the chat box. I just sent the link of electronic travel authorization countries, so you can just search by country. And if you cannot find your country there, it means that you require visa to travel to Canada. So and for the countries who don't require visa to Canada, like one of them is United States. Like if you're from United States, like you don't need visa to travel to Canada. So if you are and if you are not from United States, so then most probably you will need ETA or temporary resident visa to enter Canada.
I also just, in terms of a place to live, like if any of you are staying somewhere where your name isn't on the lease, just know that that's going to make it a lot harder too when you try to apply for a health card and stuff, because you have to have you have to have physical proof of your residence. So that's something that you might want to maybe discuss with an international advisor or whatever else, just because it's going to make things a little bit trickier if you don't have like a permanent address that your name is attached to. Like, right, like because again, for the applying for a health card, you need some sort of proof of residence. So, you know, a utility bill or something that has the address and your name and like an official logo. So that will be really hard if you're not, you know, on any lease or anything like that. So that's just something to consider. Right. But, and then just, then we'll do 2 more questions and then we'll move on. So, oh, okay, this is a quick question. So sorry, Reshma, I don't know why I misread what you had said. You made perfect sense, so you're good. Used furniture, Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji, all those places. Virage Sales, a big one. I can send these links in the follow-up email too. But there's a lot of places you can find used furniture and all sorts of stuff. So even like thrift stores like Value Village and stuff often has stuff as well. But I usually, I know for me, because I go all use furniture. I'm not spending excess money. I always use Facebook Marketplace, and it's really, really handy. So that's what I would recommend. But and then here, I'll ask, okay, that one's pretty long. Okay, and then I'll answer this question about class schedules at SAS Polytech. So we've gone over this a couple of times, but I know it's always a bit confusing. Sometimes your class schedule might be sent to you ahead of time. Sometimes it's not available till the first day. It just depends on the program. It depends on your instructors. It depends on your program head. I would assume like they're probably not going to send anything right now, just because it's still you know, an active semester, right? So they're all pretty busy, but you will, at the very least, if you don't know where you're going on the first day, right? So if you don't get a class schedule until whatever, just come to school, and there's going to be Ask Me booths at every single campus at all of the entrances. We will all have a list of where you'll go depending on your program. And then you'll have your class schedule at that point. So I know for us proactive, perhaps anxious people that really want to have it all planned out, I know that it's kind of a frustrating answer to that question, but you will have your class schedule at the very least on that first day of school. But just keep checking your SAS Polytech email, and hopefully your program head will send something ahead of time. But if not, don't worry, we'll make sure you get to where you need to get, and then you will know. So yeah, just wanted to add that. And then and when you get the classroom numbers, so yeah, we'll tell you the classroom numbers for the first class. After that, it's just sort of you'll be directed, right? Because like you won't be left in the dark. We'll help you find your first class on that first day, but then after that, your instructors, program heads they'll do like their own version of an orientation with you, and you'll know all that information. So do not worry. Again, ideally you'll have the classroom numbers ahead of time, but if you don't, it's okay. We will help you find your classroom. Okay, so I think we're going to move on. Dipankar, we'll answer that one maybe after, because that's a bit of a loaded question, and I want us to be able to go through the other questions. So try to, if you can stick till the end, we'll address that. Okay, I will be quiet now.
Yes, yeah, we have two more questions to answer. Yeah, so next one is about Saskatchewan Health Card. So in regards to Saskatchewan Health Card, I can just share my screen with you. Yeah, I want to show you the difference. So I want to help you to navigate the healthcare system in Saskatchewan. So our team has also created Saskatchewan Health Card International Student Guide. You can find it on our website. Yeah, I can
Please
share
send
the
that
link
link.
later. Yeah, I will send it.
No, this was a thing. Amazing. Oh my gosh. I'll include this in that follow-up email. This is such a good resource. Okay, yeah.
That's a very good resource. Yeah. So what is the Saskatchewan Health Card? So it's also referred as Provincial Health Card. Is your ID that allow you to use universal health benefits. So for example, if you need to see the family doctor or you need to go to emergency, you need to go to the hospital. So they will ask you if you have your Saskatchewan health card. So that would be your medical ID in Canada. So all international students residing in Saskatchewan and enrolled full-time, they're eligible to apply for Saskatchewan health card. So students, so for example, if you come to Canada with your spouse or your partner or with dependents, with your children, for example, all of you, you'll be able to apply for Saskatchewan health card. So to apply for Saskatchewan health card, you first need to arrive to Canada. So you cannot apply for Saskatchewan health card from outside of Canada. There is no fee to apply for Saskatchewan health card. You don't have to pay to be covered by Saskatchewan health card insurance. We usually strongly recommend international students to arrange private insurance that covers their time in Canada before their classes start, because before your classes start, as I mentioned before, you won't be able to request your enrollment verification. So to apply for Saskatchewan health card, you will need to have 4 documents. So first one, it would be your study permit, then it would be your passport, your foreign passport, and then it would be your enrollment verification as a proof that you're a full-time student. Because Saskatchewan health insurance, it's only available for students who maintain their full-time status in Canada, only for full-time students. And the fourth one, it would be proof of Saskatchewan residency. So it's very similar to social insurance number application. So it can be signed rental or lease agreement. It can also be utility bill, your home telephone, a cable TV, or water, gas, or energy bill. And also, as I mentioned before, cell phone bills are not accepted. Also, to apply for Saskatchewan health card, you can also use your like if you, but when you come to Canada, so you won't have your Saskatchewan driver's license. So that's another topic. So we will, when you visit our international student orientation, we're also going to talk more about how you can obtain driver's license in Canada and how you can obtain a non-driver's Saskatchewan ID card. And then you can also use your employment record, for example, a pay stub or letter from employer as a proof of address. So if you and for the school or college, you can also use your report card or transcript. But to obtain your transcript, you need to complete at least 1 semester with Saskatchewan Polytechnic. Yes, so here on this guide, you can also find information how you can order your enrollment verification. So it has information how you can obtain your enrollment verification. And then you will need to click create an account because you're a new resident in Saskatchewan. So you'll be asked to create an account with eHealth Saskatchewan. You will just create your password, your login information. And after that, you will start new application. So you will need to click on new or returning Saskatchewan resident. You will click next. Then you will get a reminder what types of documents you require to apply for Saskatchewan health card. And then you will be asked to answer some questions like about your family status, when you come to Canada, what country are you relocating from, your contact information, your address. And in regards to Saskatchewan health cards, so the processing time might take up to 4 to 6 weeks, plus mailing time. Therefore, we would highly recommend you to finalize your permanent stay in Canada before you apply for Saskatchewan health card, because you will receive your Saskatchewan health card by mail. It's going to be mailed to you. For example, in case if you're staying at Airbnb or at your friend's place, so you might not be able to receive your Saskatchewan health card. So therefore, firstly finalize your stay in Canada, and then apply for Saskatchewan health card. And also, as I mentioned before, there is no fee to apply for Saskatchewan health card. And one more thing that I also wanted to mention about Saskatchewan health card. So the following health services are fully covered by Saskatchewan Health. So it includes visits to family doctors or specialists, or walk-in clinics, emergency room visits, hospitalization as recommended by physician, and maternity care, and some immunization services. And there is no coverage for prescription drugs, for air ambulance, eyeglasses, medical appliance, some paramedic services, psychologist, naturopath. So in regards to those services, they're not covered by Saskatchewan health card. for that purpose, you have your SPSA coverage. So you can use student association will provide you with information about your insurance, because as an international student, you'll be eligible to have your dental and health benefits card to get coverage for services that are not covered by Saskatchewan Health Card. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to SPSA. So Kelsey can provide us with a link for SPSA, so you can find out information. What's your insurance through SPSA? What's covered? What's not covered? Yeah. So make sure that you have your SPSA coverage, and make sure that you apply for Saskatchewan Health Card. Because if you haven't applied for Saskatchewan Health Card, so if you come to see family doctor, you need to go to emergency, so you'll be expected to pay for your visit. So if you don't have Saskatchewan Health Card, for example, and if you want to see, if you go to walk-in clinic, so they might ask you to pay, for example, like $60 or $70 just for a visit. So therefore, make sure that you apply for Saskatchewan Health Card. Yes, it's in regards to Saskatchewan Health Card. Yeah, I will just share the link in the chat box for our for the Saskatchewan Health Card International Student Guide. Yeah, so you can find it in the Zoom.
Being that forever.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, please, everyone, just like right now, go to the chat and just click that link and just have it in your browser and like bookmark it, because that is a great resource. I feel so silly for not even knowing that was a thing. So I love it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no
I'm way too
worries.
excited.
Yeah, and the last topic, so let me just share my screen. I can show you how you can book an appointment with our office. So if you need to speak with the International Student Advisors team, so when you go to our website, when you go to saskpolytech.ca, so click International, and here you can click under current students, click Contact an Advisor. When you click Contact an Advisor, and then you can, so there are several ways how you can contact advisors. So you can submit your question to our email address. You can also book an appointment. So when you click Book an Appointment, so you'll be able to see a list of our advisors. Yeah, so we currently have 6 advisors in our team. So there, as I mentioned, there are advisors at every campus. So for example, if you search for advisor, for example, you will need to select the date, for example, December 13th, and then you just select the time slot, then click continue. Then you'll be asked to provide some of your information, your first name, your last name, your email, your student number, name of your program, name of your campus, and also question. So you can indicate, is it a question about study permit, or is it about failing the class, or if it's something different, you can just check off other and provide more information here about your question. And then for the appointments, so we offer both in-person and Zoom appointments. So you can, yeah, if you have any questions, even like after our session, so if you come up with any questions, so you can also book an appointment with me or any other advisors, and then we will be able to assist you. Yeah, we highly recommend students to book an appointment because for some questions we also need to collect some information. So some questions might be complicated, especially immigration ones. So we might need some time to prepare some information to help you better. So we highly encourage students to book an appointment with our office. And you can also use that submit a question button. So if you have a question, so when you submit a question, one of our advisors will get back to you to provide you with information. Yeah, and also wanted to mention one more thing. So under international, you can also find another good resource. It's called International Student Guide. So if you click here, you can find information about you can find information in the resources, what you need to do upon arrival, campus location information. You can find information about life in Saskatchewan. You can find information about clothing, childcare, climate, weather, employment in Canada, finances, healthcare, health coverage, list of hospitals and clinics, identification, housing, transportation. So we highly encourage you to review our international student guide. I can also share that link in the chat box. And we're also looking forward to meet you at our international student orientation. We're also going to cover some other topics that are relevant for international students. And in the meanwhile, if you have any other questions, feel free to book an appointment or send us a question, and we will be able to assist you.
They're always around, like they're very of it, which is great. Like, if you can't make an appointment, you can just walk. I mean, obviously, assuming they're not busy, you just walk into their office too. Like they're just very, very helpful people. So I know for myself, I feel like because I went to the University of Regina, I didn't go to SAS Polytech, and I felt like I didn't have anything like this. Like I had no idea what I was doing. And I, and I know I have kind of that privilege of, English is still my first language and all of that stuff. Right. So maybe the barriers are a little bit different, but even still, it was tricky. So, that's why they are there. You'll probably have questions throughout the entirety of your program, and that is fine. That's what they're there for. So as I've been saying with every session, utilize these resources that you have for free, right? Like everyone is here to help you. That is what it is. And plus, SAS Polytech is, especially Moose Jaw campus, is very highly international, right? Which is really, really cool. So there's always going to be resources for you to make things easier. So there is no question that will not be solved. So please utilize Yevgen. That's just what I'm going to say.
And FACE. We have
And
two
FACE,
advisors on our campus.
Everyone, but like,
everyone.
now you know you. So, there's more. So I guess not everyone should go to him, but might be a little overwhelming. Okay, we have a couple of more questions. I know we're nearing the end here. So if anyone is needing to go then, and you felt like your questions were sufficiently answered, you absolutely can. I will be sending another follow-up email after this with this information. So please just, and of course, again, all the other stuff that I've been sending. So just make sure to check that. So here, we'll check. Sorry, again, I just want to make sure I haven't skipped anything. Okay, so we're going to go back. This is, okay, so I'm going to, hopefully I do this question justice. So I applied for a study visa for PGC software developer in fall of 2022, but I got my visa approved with a delay, and I missed the fall 2022 intake. The next intake of my program is in fall 2023, so a year later. I did not want to waste a lot of time. I did not want to waste so much time, so I changed my program to another preferred program relevant to my career progression. My port of entry and study visa stamp is valid until the September 30th, 2023. So till when will my study permit be valid? Will I need a study permit extension? Will it cause any issue with immigration officers at the port of entry? Can you please answer on the basis of any past experience of students who have changed programs like this earlier? I know that's a few questions, so it's in the chat if you want to read it.
I can see it. Till when. And first, I just want to share one link in the chat box. It has information about notifying, like if you're changing your school or program, like how you can notify IRCC about that, how you can notify Government of Canada if you're changing your program. So like if you're outside of Canada, so you can notify, it depends if you notified IRCC if you change your program or not. And also in regards to the study permit, so it's going to be, so the final decision about issuing study permit will be made by border officer. So the border officer will take a look at your acceptance letter, at your letter of introduction, at your visa, and then they will make a final decision about the expiry date of your study permit. So like we cannot tell you what would be the expiry date. And in case if your study permit won't be issued till, and for example, if study permit duration won't cover the length of your program, you'll be able to apply for extension. So there is study permit extension option. So you'll be able to apply for study permit extension from within Canada. So, and then you can reach out to our office and we can advise you how you can apply for study permit extension. So in regards to study permit extension, we usually recommend students to apply for study permit extension within 90 days of their study permit expiry date. So you only need to apply for extension within 90 days of the expiry date. And then you also, since you change your program, so you also need to be prepared to explain border officer at the port of entry about changing your program. So just make sure that you have enough information that you'll be able to explain border officer why you decided to change the program. So just make sure that you got that you're well prepared for to meet the border officer. And I would actually recommend you, because yes, a question is also immigration related. I would also recommend you to book an appointment with one of our RECA advisors. So because I'm still taking classes to become a RECA advisor. So and since it's an immigration related question, I would recommend you to book an appointment.
Some of you met Emily on the first, if you were in the very first session.
Yeah, you can meet. Yeah, I would recommend you to meet with Emily. So you can see her here, the name Emily. Yeah, she's international student advisor in Regina campus. So you can, yeah, so and you'll be able to book an appointment with her online. So you can see that she has some availability for the next week. So you can just book an appointment with her, and then she'll be able to assist you with that question, since it's immigration related. Yeah.
Okay, got another
Mhm.
one here.
Mhm.
Are there registered or approved HMOs in Saskatchewan? What is an HMO? Should I Google? Is that like health insurance? Is that a term for
Not very clear.
a type of healthcare?
Yes, kind of, yes, health insurance companies. Usually people can subscribe to those or yeah, they can enlist with them, register with them, and then they give medical coverage. For instance, they might suggest specific hospitals or doctors where you can go to for medical treatment.
Yeah, I would say, like Saskatchewan Polytechnic, we don't have any agreements with any insurance providers. So I would recommend you just to check conditions of different insurance providers to make sure that you get your coverage. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we don't have much information about that specific type of insurance. Yeah, so just once you arrive to Canada, so make sure that you apply for Saskatchewan Health Card. And the only advice we can give you that since processing time might take up to 6 to 8 weeks, so make sure that you arrange your coverage for the first 2 months in Canada. So when you will sign any type of agreements, so make sure that you clear with the timing.
That'll be different when you start working, like if you have like a health insurance plan through like work, but in terms of being a student, it's actually it's crazy how simple it is. And I know that most of you already know, you've heard me go on about this, but as an American especially, it was shocking to me how simple it was here, because in the States you have you have to pay your premiums for whatever insurance, and it's just crazy. But it's really just that once you get the Saskatchewan health coverage, like that almost gets everything. And then as you have again mentioned, the health and dental benefits you can get through the SPSA that covers kind of that the stuff that the Saskatchewan health card doesn't cover. So if you were to like break your leg or have to go to the hospital or whatever else, all of that is covered under your Saskatchewan health card. But if you need to go to the dentist, which I don't know who considered health and dental and vision not being part of healthcare, but I digress. That's whatever.
Mhm.
But if you need glasses or anything like that, SPSA benefits. But really, it's just like those two things. Between those two things, you're covered basically for like everything. So you don't really have to worry about anything but those two things until you start working. Then that you might have another insurance plan, but you still have the Sask Health card too.
Yeah. Mhm.
Which is, again, to me, it's just compared to what I've grew up with, it's pretty simple, but I know it's not simple, but it's all relative. Do we have a summer break? Yeah, it depends. Well, it depends on your program if you're taking like spring or summer classes, but generally speaking, you do have a summer break. Again, just depends on the program, but they are, you at least have a bit of break when it's nice out. So you can
Yeah, and you
enjoy
can
some-
also reach out to your program head. Yes, so the program head can identify it. So as I mentioned, that you can only work if you're thinking about working full time and that summer break. So make sure that you register full time in the next semester. So that's not your last semester. So if to be able to work during summer break. So, but you can always double check with your program to see if you have a summer break. So if it's authorized. So summer break, it's like authorized break by institution. So it means that you'll be able to work during the break. Yeah.
And then I know there's some other questions about social insurance numbers earlier in the chat, but just to stay on track, I will ask this question. So do any organizations offer part-time staff additional health coverage as well? Like once you're in the workforce, again, it depends. So generally speaking, when you like most jobs here, you have to be like full-time permanent, again, depending on the job in order to be eligible for health insurance. So typically part-time, you might have limited options. That's something that's kind of like past this. So that's something we can maybe talk about down the line. Or you honestly, Lawami, you should talk to, that's something you can talk to Student Employment Services about too. Remember we had the meeting with them yesterday. That's something that they could probably answer to because they know more about the workforce. But like I said, for everything, it just depends on the place you work. It depends on what it is. You know, I worked full-time in retail, right? But I didn't get health coverage. But then when I was working full-time hours, but considered part-time in learning services, I got health insurance, right? So it just depends. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Okay, so now we have a couple more questions about social insurance numbers. See, I knew this would be probably the hot topic here, social insurance numbers. So relative to the application of a social insurance number, can I use the contract agreement that I had with Fido? My address in Moose Jaw is indicated on that aforementioned document.
But Fido, it's a cell phone provider, right? Kelsey, I believe it's Fido,
Yeah.
it's one of, but as we mentioned before, so if it's like cell phone provider, so Service Canada or Saskatchewan Health, they might not consider it as a proof of address. Yeah, we won't recommend you to use that contract agreement.
And if you're not sure what, maybe you need to just sift through documents you have, that's the perfect opportunity to book an appointment with an international advisor, and then you can just chat about it one-on-one.
Yeah, we can explore options, and then we can understand your situation and give you some advice.
Yeah. Okay. Do I need a this is a really good question, actually. This is really, really good. Do I need a social insurance number to open a bank account?
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah, I know that bank institutions, they usually require a social insurance number. But you can also double check with your bank institution. Yeah, but most of the institutions, they require a social insurance number.
Now I'm just going to go kind of sequentially. When is the winter break and how long is it? Do you mean the break that would be over kind of the New Year's holiday season, or do you mean a break within the winter semester? Because there's both. Yeah. So, okay. Same thing. So, so there's a break, for example, this winter, I think it depends on when you have maybe your last final, but typically I think it's December 22nd. Yeah. Yevgen will show there you go.
Yeah, we can just show, you can just, we would recommend you to discover our website. So we have a lot of information that we discussed today, or maybe you discussed at other sessions. You can find it on our website. You can also use that search engine. And then if you have any questions, you can also try search engine button. So if you don't find information, then you can contact advisors or other supporting team. So here you can see under academic year and breaks. So in regards to the winter break, you can see that for this year, so the winter break is from starting December 20th until January 2nd. And for the and for the next year, let's check that for 2023. So winter semester, and in the next year, 2023, the break would be from December 19 until January 1st. So it's different every year. So we would highly encourage you to to visit our website. I can actually send you the link.
I already, I
Our
got it, Yevgen.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so here you can see, for example, there are also statutory holidays. So for the statutory holidays, we also usually don't have school on those days. And there is also information about like last day of classes and information about summer break, when summer break starts and when all marks are usually going to be posted. Yeah, you can find that information on
Your
our
instructors will let you know too, like if there's a day,
Yeah.
you know, that there's a stat holiday, I mean, ideally, right? They'll just go, hey, by the way, so you'll know. I forget half the time, and then I have to let my colleagues are like, oh, by the way, remember it's Victoria Day. And I'm like, oh yeah, whoops. So you'll always get reminded. Okay, so we got a couple more here. I got an email from TELUS Health Virtual Care, but now I'm unable to apply for that. I don't know what that is. I know TELUS, the phone company, but is that familiar to you, Yevgen? I would just, maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but just don't worry about it. Just the Saskatchewan health card and the benefits through the SPSA are all you need to worry about. Just for the sake of making things less complicated. That's my opinion. That's just my recommendation. I don't know if Yevgen has other feedback.
Yeah, we also don't want you to pay extra, like firstly, we just review that international student guide about health insurance. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to our office, or you can also contact SPSA. So I would say like most of the services they're covered by those insurances.
Yeah. And then you had said, you're fine. And then you had meant, okay, I know we talked about this before, but I know some people were in and out of the chat. So maybe you want to touch on this again, Yevgen. But someone just said, I got my study visa. Do I need to apply for ETA? Just a clarification.
You can go to my study. Yeah, it depends on your country. Like if you're, as I mentioned before, so you can just check if you're from visa required country. So then you will need to have your visa. So for example, if you're from visa required country, when you apply for study permit extension, when you apply for study permit, so if you're from visa required country, you will receive a letter from IRCC, and they will ask for your passport. So if you were asked to submit your passport, and you got your stamp in your passport, then you don't need to apply for ETA. So it can be either ETA or temporary resident visa. So it's one of those. Like you don't need to apply for additional document. So ETA, it's only required for visa visa exempt countries. So if you're from visa exempt country, so just check that list that I sent before. So if you're from visa exempt country, so then even like for visa exempt countries, so make sure that you review all letters that you got from IRCC. For example, for ETA, so you will receive your letter of introduction, and your ETA information will be in that letter of introduction. So you will receive that information. So you don't need to apply for ETA or for ETA separately. So when you apply for study permit, automatically you apply for ETA or you apply for a temporary resident visa. So like you don't need to apply for other documents separately. So you only need to apply for study permit and then just follow IRCC guidance. Yeah.
Okay, so we are quite a bit over time here, so we're going to just address one more question, just because I know Yevgen is up in Saskatoon and has got things to do. But once again, you know how to make an appointment.
You can book an appointment. Yeah, with one of our advisors. We have other advisors available. Yeah, so. And I'll be back at work on Tuesday. Yeah, so you can also.
We know that there's a lot. This is all like, again, I know I can and can't, because I know I've kind of been through, but like I know this is like there's a lot of questions that will be asked, and that's good. That's what they're here for. So but yeah, we'll probably just ask one more question, and then I'll let you all go. Send that email to everyone, and then just remember to. These sessions will all be uploaded to YouTube. So if you missed anything, or maybe you came in late, or maybe you missed some other Q&A sessions in the week, all that stuff will be available on YouTube. So do not worry. Okay, so last question that we're going to ask. Okay, so don't be offended if you throw in a question after this and I don't address it. Time is time, right? Okay, So this question says, I came here in the October intake to study my MBA at UCW Vancouver, and my study permit mentioned the institution name as DLI BC, the Designated Learning Institution. Okay, I dropped the MBA and am now starting an office admin course at SAS Polytech in January. Will that impact my work permit since my study permit says DLI BC?
Okay. So you came, yeah, so you came in Canada to study. Okay. So if you have your study permit, so you study. So in that case, so if you are switching your institution, you will need to notify an IRCC. So I can let me just share my screen quickly. Yeah, so if you are changing your program or school, so you will need to notify. Yeah, if you're changing your school, you will need to notify IRCC. So if you are changing your school, it has information if you're changing your school outside of Canada or inside of Canada. So in your case, I would actually recommend you to book an appointment with one of our international student advisors, and then we can provide you with the guidance how you can change your DLI number. So you don't need to apply for a new study permit. So there is a simple procedure. It will take about like 10 or 15 minutes. So you will need to go to your CAC account, the account that you used to apply for your study permit, and you will just need to change your DLI institution. So you will be asked to enter Saskatchewan Polytechnic DLI institution number. So you will be able to change it electronically. Yeah. So you can.
Excuse me. Actually, I already informed IRCC for that. But
you already changed your DLI number, right?
yes.
Yeah, if you already changed it, yeah. So then you should be fine because IRCC has information on your file that you change your institution, and when you apply for post-graduation work permit, yeah. So like in that case, for example, if you're changing your institution, I would recommend you, when you apply for population work permit, you can also include the explanation letter along with your application, and then you can just explain that you got accepted in one institution, and then your plan has been changed, and then you move to other institution. So maybe you can include a kind of explanation letter, just explain in your own words why did you decide to change your program in Canada.
So where I need to submit the explanation letter?
You will need to do it when you apply for post-graduation work permit. So at then, yeah, when you apply for post-graduation work permit, so once you're in that application to apply for post-graduation work permit, so there will be a section like supporting documents, and you can submit it under that section.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Okay, well, Yevgen, not surprisingly, that was super thorough. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad we were able to do this. I know, in a perfect world, we'd have hundreds of people in here, but you know what? We have 19 more people who have some clarification. So if any of you know you have friends or anything like that have other questions that weren't here, definitely direct them to that recording or direct them to that booking system too. So yes, it'll be available on YouTube. Like Matthew, our AV guy, has been pretty amazing at getting that up pretty quickly, but I feel like to play everything safe, next week everything will be uploaded. But in the meantime, you can definitely check the channel to see what's uploaded. It's just like you just look up SAS Polytech on YouTube, and there's like a playlist that has virtual orientation. It's pretty hard to miss, so just mess around with that. So I won't go too far on because I think we all it's Friday. We got things to do, right? But thank you all again for being here. Thank you, Yevgen, for being so awesome and answering all these questions. Yes, Lawami, we will see you. We will see you around in Moose Jaw. She's been at every single session, I'm pretty sure. And I feel like most of you have been at like almost all the sessions, which is always fun because I like that I always put her on the spot because she always has good questions. I'm like, oh, Lawami, where are your questions? Her and Jose, it's always fun. And Reshma always has good questions.
Yeah, and please also make sure that you register for orientation. We also want to remind you, make sure that you attend our orientation. Then we're also going to cover some other topics about academic integrity and about Saskatchewan driver's insurance. And also we're going to review some immigration information. My coworker Faith, she will also provide you with information about work authorization and about co-op work permit and about post-graduation work permit. So we highly
Yeah.
encourage you to attend our that's going to be in person international student orientation.
Here, once again, in the chat, I will send the events page for international. Just keep checking back. If you're not in Moose Jaw, just keep checking back to this page.
Yeah, that may, if in case if that page hasn't been updated yet, so we're gonna update it within next week. Yeah, so we are currently contacting. Yeah, we're currently updating that information event page.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, so without further ado, I think I'll end it here. Again, thank you all for being here. Have an amazing weekend. We can't wait to see you in person. Please don't be shy. Please, if you see me or hear me, just go, hey, it's in your virtual session, and we will chat and be friends. I'm sure I can say the same for Yevgen. He's not quite as loud as me, but he's a very nice person. So he's very approachable. Yeah, again, the Regina campus, everything will be set up soon. There's not it's not set quite yet. So just keep checking that events page and you will get email information about it. But once again, what am I going to say? Like I say every single day, check your SAS Polytech email, not your personal email, not your Gmail, not your MSN Messenger. You're going to check your SAS Polytech email for all of this information. Once again, I will be sending this follow-up information to whatever email you registered for the session with, which may be your personal email, but that is the only time you'll get correspondence with your personal email. Okay, make sure you're always checking your SAS Polytech email. That is where all the information goes. And if you're not reading it, you're missing a lot of information. So make sure you're doing that, okay? All right. Well, have a lovely weekend, everyone, and we'll let you go.